Last night's Grand Slam hero Jason Kipnis and the Cleveland Indians look to build on the momentum from last night's win as they host Justin Morneau and the rest of the division rival Minnesota Twins. It's baseball night in America, coming to you from Progressive Field in Cleveland. And it's a beautiful Saturday night for baseball in Cleveland. Dick Bramer along with Mitch Williams, the Cleveland Indians, trying their best to keep pace with the white-hot Chicago White Sox. But, Mitch, they're hitting a little bit of a tough stretch right now because they've got to play without their cleanup hitter, Travis Hafner, and their number 5 hitter, Carlos Santana. Manny Acta asking everybody in the lineup to pick up the slack.
Well, yeah, there's no question. They're going to have to get power numbers from somewhere. And manager Manny Acta is asking that from a second baseman, which you wouldn't normally think would happen. But Jason Kipnis is number 1 on this team in RBIs, home runs, and runs scored. He's a young player, came up last year, opened a lot of eyes, and Manny Acta is liking what he's seeing right now.
To the point where he is comparing Kipnis to a cross between Chase Utley when healthy and Dustin Pedroia. That's pretty heady company. Game 2 between the Indians and the Minnesota Twins. The Indians, for whatever reason, have had a hex on the Twins. They'll hope to continue that tonight.
on the edges of the plate. The scouting report on Josh Tomlin. He's not going to overpower hitters, which means he's got to stay down, stay on the edges, and avoid cripple counts. And what I mean by that, stay out of 2-0, 3-1 counts where he's got to throw the ball over the middle of the plate.
He got one on the edge for a called strike, 1-1 to Span. And a liner to right, a base hit. Chu chases it to the corner. Span will hold up with a single. Chu with an outstanding arm.
Yeah.
And he throws behind Span to keep him honest.
And that is one thing about Chu in right field. If you're a base runner, he will cut your turn down to second base because of this right here. You look at this throwing motion. He's a former pitcher that threw 98 miles an hour when he was on the mound. And you see Denard Span round and go, uh-oh, wait a minute. I forgot Chu's in right field, and he will throw me out.
Some speed at first in Denard Span. Some more speed at the plate in Ben Revere. And Span checked right away at first.
And this is something Tomlin is going to have to do. When you get guys that are runners on base, you have to change your times. Hold the ball on them. Nothing makes a base runner more antsy and tighten up more than a pitcher that holds the ball. So change your times, hold the ball on them, step off. You don't even have to throw over if you change your times to the plate.
And Revere takes a strike on the outside corner. Span with 6 steals in 9 tries. Twins don't do a whole lot of base running. 28 steals on the season.
And I think Ben Revere being up here in this lineup, I think that's going to change a little bit.
There's a liner into center field for a base hit. Span glides into second base, and the Twins start the first inning with a pair of sharp singles. Tonight's defensive alignment for the Indians brought to you by Scott. Veteran Johnny Damon made a great catch in left field last night. Michael Brantley in center. Shin-Soo Choo in right. Monty Chisenhall as Drupal Cabrera left side of the infield. Jason Kipnis, Casey Kochman on the right side. And Lou Marson again doing the catching in the absence of Carlos Santana. Pair of hits, and now Joe Mauer to the plate.
If I'm Tomlin right here, I am looking to make Joe Mauer pull this ball. Johnny Damon does not throw the ball well in left. And you see right there, he gets ahead of him with a ball on the inner third. He wants Joe Mauer to pull this ball to keep the ball in right field, because if he gets it hit to Chu, they've got a chance to throw out Span at the plate. If he hits it to Damon, they have no chance of throwing Span out.
And they've done their scouting on Mauer, of course, over the years. And Mauer this year, 2009 MVP. No one in baseball has grounded into more double plays this year than Joe Mauer with a dozen. By trade, Tomlin, you'd describe him, however, as a fly ball pitcher.
Yeah, you would think, you see that movement, that late movement on it, you would think he would be more of a ground ball pitcher because of that sinker. But as we've seen in the first 2 hitters, he gets ahead and then throws 2 good pitches in the middle of the plate where they hit it hard. Now he's got a 1-2 count here. This is where he's got to expand the zone on Joe Mauer.
1-2 to Mauer. And slant to left, a base hit. Span rounding third. They will run on Johnny Damon. And the Twins start the night with 3 straight singles in the game's first run.
We're going to take a look at this pitch sequence to Mauer, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. He pitched him backwards as to how I would have gone at him. The first pitch was great. Inside, then he went down, then he got away with one, but then they set up a way, and Mauer is known for hitting the ball the other way, and that's the one place you do not want the ball hit in that situation is to Johnny Damon, because everyone knows Johnny does not possess a powerful throwing arm.
So now the power in the Twins lineup, starting with Willingham, 10 home runs. Behind him, Morneau with 9.
And they're getting to the meat of the order right now. Willingham has been fantastic for the Twins since being signed as a free agent. That's a pretty good pitch right there. If I'm Tomlin, I'm kind of wanting that one. You don't want to fall behind guys like Josh Willingham. We're going to look at this, the last pitch here. He hits the mitt, basically. I don't know where he called that pitch, but obviously the umpire thought it was not a strike.
Swing and a foul. Masterson may have taken that on the mask. Carlos Santana, the regular catcher here in Cleveland, not playing because he took a foul tip on the mask about a week ago.
And again, Tomlin, for me, I'm looking to pitch on the outer third here. This ball's put in play. I want to put in play to the right side, not the left side. And you see the catcher setting up to go away. Throws him a breaking ball away, but it's down.
2-1.
Willingham is one of those guys in the game where you cannot throw it hard enough for him inside. That's why Minnesota signed him. They wanted a power pull hitting hitter.
Foul over the screen evens the count. Saw 2 home runs in his last 5 games. One of them a walk-off winner against the Oakland A's at Target Field.
If I'm Josh Tomlin here in a 2-2 count, the rest of this at bat, I am staying away. He's gotten away with what I consider mistakes on him, Dick. I really think he does not want to be on the inner third at all.
In the dirt, blocked by Masterson, and it's a full count. Some speed at second, not so much at first for the Twins. We'll see if they start the runners here with the full count and nobody out. Like most power hitters, Willingham prone to striking out, 47 strikeouts in 166 at bats.
Well, the thing about starting the runners here is there's no way, if they do start him and the Willingham does swing through, the catcher's going to second base to throw. It wouldn't surprise me to see him start Revere at second and have Maurer hold it first.
Neither runner goes, although Revere took a hard step toward third base. Still 3-2.
And that Tomlin is working the outer part of the plate here. You can't give in. You got a 3-2 count. You've yet to record an out, but you cannot give in and find yourself. You give in and throw him a fastball middle. Now you're down 4-0.
Another 3-2 to Willingham. A high pop-up. Infield fly rule should be called, and is. Willingham's out. Cabrera with the catch, and a battle won by Tomlin, the first out of the inning.
We're going to go pitch by pitch right here, and Tomlin does a great job. He starts him off away with a fastball called a ball. Then he gets away with one in the middle, comes back with a breaking ball, hangs the breaking ball, got away with it, then buried one, and got him to foul off that pitch and hung a breaking ball. And this is what we call in the business, you hung it so bad he couldn't hit it.
Here's Morneau, and he swings through the first pitch, strike one.
And I really believe if Josh Tomlin's going to have success against this lineup, he's got to be able to do that. He's got to be able to throw his breaking ball, changeup, and fastball first pitch to get ahead. He cannot live on one pitch first pitch to these hitters.
One strike to Morneau. Ripped to right and headed toward the corner. Revere around third. He'll score. Chew into a slide to cut the ball off, and in doing so, he'll hold Morneau to a single. But it's an RBI single, the 4th hit of the inning for the Twins.
And they are getting damage done by the middle of their order. In a perfect world, this is exactly what manager Ron Gardenhire wants. Get your leadoff hitter on, move the leadoff hitter up with your 2-hole hitter, and then the guys that are supposed to do the damage, Maurer, Willingham, and Morneau, can drive runs in.
Runners on the corners. Ryan Domit, the designated hitter for the Twins.
He's done a really good job since coming over from Pittsburgh. I never saw him play anywhere but behind the plate when he was a Pirate. And here they've got him DHing, they've got him catching, they've got him playing the outfield.
Lifted foul over the Cleveland dugout. Originally they were expecting him to play some at first base, but two things have happened. Domet doesn't feel real comfortable over there. And now Justin Morneau, since coming off the disabled list, has played every game at first base, so they don't have the need for a backup first baseman.
Well, and that's one of the best stories in the game for me, is the health of Justin Morneau and coming back from that concussion syndrome.
1-1 to Domet. Morneau put on the disabled list with a wrist problem and has come back and played in the field and in the lineup in every game.
And it's sad to say, but that wrist problem was probably a welcome sign to him, because it was something other than the concussions that landed him on a disabled list.
Flared foul by Domet. Twins went into the year not sure how many games Morneau would be able to play at first base, whether he was going to be primarily a designated hitter. At times this year he was, but he's come off the disabled list and really given the lineup a boost by playing in the field every day.
Well, I remember the first home run he hit this year, how happy we were for him in studio, and we were watching the game, and for him to get back. This is a former MVP.
Off speed pitch missing to even the count at 2-2. Already 22 pitches in the first inning for Josh Tomlin.
He is in dire need of a ground ball. They've got a shift on.
Domet pounds it foul off a leg.
As Drupal Cabrera, the shortstop, is on the second base side of second base. So the middle of the field, basically, or the shortstop position, there is no one there.
And Domet will face it, a shift from the other side of the plate. As a switch hitter, teams have shifted him to pull the ball even from the right side of the plate.
Well, as a pitcher, you have to know that, and you have to pitch to that shift. And you see the catcher setting up in.
Full count.
Good job right there, and he's got to stay there. This ball has got to be on the inner third of the plate in order to make this shift smart. You see the catcher setting up on the inner third of the plate. You want him to pull the ball. That's why you're playing your defense the way you're playing.
Tomlin led the major leagues in fewest walks allowed last year. A throw to first, and Morneau gets back. And tough with the sun here at Progressive Field the way it is. The first baseman, the base runner, even the first base umpire, they're kind of squinting into the sun, as you can see from our first base camera angle. 3-2 to Domet. A bouncer up the line foul.
And I can tell, I played first base in high school, and I can tell you it is a scary feeling when you're over there. Number one, you don't know when a pickoff throw is coming. And if you can't see it and you look at that big bright spot up there, it's zero fun.
Another 3-2 to Ryan Domet. Lifted deep but foul down the left field line. So a very long first inning for Josh Tomlin. When we chatted with Manny Acta before the game, he said, you know, Tomlin just recently off the disabled list, doesn't get run out to 100 pitches like most pitchers. Generally 2 times through the batting order is enough for Tomlin. They've done the research and found out that 3rd time through the order isn't really a fun trip for Josh Tomlin, and he's already run up a lot of pitches here in the first inning. And there's a rare walk on a pitch that just missed, clocked at 77 miles per hour.
And that's another one. When you make a pitch like that, I'm kind of, as a pitcher, obviously I'm biased, but that pitch is in the strike zone. That ball crosses the plate, that's in the strike zone. That's belt high. And you see the grip right there, the super slow-mo, that's his curveball. And that's what he's wanting. He's wanting to freeze the hitter, which is exactly what he did. He just didn't get the call.
So 4 singles and a walk, still only 1 out. 27 pitches for Tomlin. Scott Radinsky, the pitching coach for the Indians, waiting for home plate umpire Eric Cooper to come out. And now they'll be discussing that curveball and where Cooper saw it.
it's funny, Scott Radinsky, also a guy known for commanding the baseball.
Pretty tough left-handed reliever for a lot of years. Here's Brian Dozier. Bases loaded, one away, and a swing and a miss.
And that's exactly what Tomlin wants. Get ahead with his breaking ball. If you can get your breaking ball over and get the hitter to swing at it first pitch, now you're in business. You won't have to go back to it in this at bat.
Dozier rolls it to the right side. They'll come home for a force play, and they get Mauer. Nice play by Kochman. He was only going to get up one out anyway. It was too slowly a hit ball to get a double play, so he got the force play at home.
Yep, the grass ate that ball up, slowed it down, and at first base, Casey Kochman, he knows how to play the position. And as a pitcher, you'd love to have the double play, but you really appreciate the fact that Kochman cut this ball off and cut the run down. 2 runs is manageable. Now Tomlin's got to bear down and get this hit. Limit the damage.
Trevor Plouffe in the lineup at third base because he can drive the ball over the fence. You see 5 home runs, but just 8 runs batted in. And the first pitch low. The Twins have had a kind of a revolving door at third base in the absence of Danny Valencia, who was demoted to AAA. Plouffe will play there sometimes. Jamie Carroll sometimes will play over there. And Plouffe drives it to center, a base hit. Morneau scores. Dolman coming in, and he will score. A 2-run single for Trevor Plouffe, the 5th hit of the inning, and it's 4-0 Minnesota.
And had that throw been on line, he is a dead duck at home plate. It's just up the line enough. I'm not sure.
Well, it almost looked like
I thought he did tag him.
Check this angle here and see if we can find whether contact was made. Home plate umpire Eric Cooper said that Marson missed him.
The only reason I'm going to say he did miss him is because Marson, he did miss it, offered no argument whatsoever.
9th man to bat, Jamie Carroll, the second baseman in tonight's game for Minnesota. Bouncer to short to Cabrera. That ends the inning. Good inning for the Twins. 5 hits and 4 runs. And they've given P.J. Walters an early lead. Early 4-0 lead. The starting lineups for the Indians. Brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you got to live Moss. Shin-Soo Choo, the leadoff man. Jason Kipnis. Then is Drupal Cabrera. Jose Lopez, Michael Brantley, Casey Kochman, Johnny Damon, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Lou Marson. And for P.J. Walters, 4-0 lead before he throws his first pitch. He's been a godsend for the Twins, who have had to reshuffle their rotation, and Walters has given the Twins a chance to win every time out.
And a young guy coming up here, I think he has done a tremendous job. He's gone 6 innings in every one of his starts at least. This is what the scouting report is. Trust your stuff. Go out there, command your fastball on both sides of the plate, and put hitters in a defensive mode. And what I mean by that, when you get ahead, hitters become defensive.
And he gets ahead of Chu, 1-2.
And that's a little baby slider right there. And we talked to Ron Gardenhire before the game. He said he'll cut it, he'll sink it.
Changeup drifts outside, 2-2.
And I think that's the pitch that they're really wanting him to gain command of, is his changeup.
Chu back up the middle. Dozier cuts it off, doesn't have a play, and Chu has an infield hit. Chu's been a godsend for the Indians since he took over the leadoff spot for Manny Acta. Jason Kipnis leading the team in home runs and runs batted in part because of what happened last night with the bases loaded. Took the first pitch from Carl Pavano and hit a grand slam to break the game open. Took a 3-0 game and turned it into a 7-0 Cleveland lead.
And as we talked about in the Open, this kid came up last year and opened a lot of eyes. But to be leading this team in every damage category there is pretty impressive for a second baseman.
When you think of Kipnis, who they really like at second, they have maybe the most athletic shortstop in the league, and Asdrubal Cabrera. They seem to be set up the middle for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's what it would appear to me. Cabrera is a human highlight film at shortstop, and Kipnis, if he just plays solid defense with what he does with the bat in his hand, unbelievable.
And a strike. 2 strikes now to Kipnis. Saw in the lineup the number of left-handed batters that the Indians have with the switch hitters and the lefties. It's very much a lefty-leaning lineup for Manny Acta. Down and away, 1-2.
And that right there, he's trying to get a called third strike right there. That's the hardest pitch he's throwing up to this point, is 88 miles an hour. His cutter loses 3 or 4 miles an hour in velocity. But that's fine as long as it's located.
Driven to left center field, but right at Willingham for the first out. Now let's go to Greg Amsinger at MLB Network for a DirecTV game break.
Dick, thank you. Dayon Viciedo continues to stay hot. That is his 12th home run of the year, the 8th home run in this game. It's 8-8 at the moment in the 10th. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Dick, Mitch, back to you guys in Cleveland.
Thank you very much. The White Sox have won 9 straight. They had a lead late. Seattle tied it, took the lead. White Sox have tied it up. The last pitcher to beat the Chicago White Sox is P.J. Walters. He threw a complete game at the White Sox, picked up a win at U.S. Cellular Field, and they have not lost since.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a shock to a lot of people, and I'm not jumping on the bandwagon yet because I still believe Detroit is the class of this division, and they have just not flipped the switch yet. They get to late July and early August and they're still up there, then I'll start to believe a little bit. 1
strike to Cabrera, and now a ball. The Indians had a tough week while the White Sox were winning every game. They were swept, the Indians were, by the White Sox. Indians went 1-5, and they had a 3.5 game lead, and then at the end of that stretch found themselves behind by a game and a half, where they sit beginning play today. Cabrera takes a strike. 1-2.
Well, I'm guessing the radar gun malfunctioned there because that had at 97 miles an hour.
1-2. And down low, 2-2. Cabrera missed some time with a tight hamstring. So in a span of about 48 hours, the Indians lost their number 3 hitter Cabrera, their cleanup hitter Hafner, and their number 5 hitter Carlos Santana. Thankfully, they've gotten Cabrera back. It's a full count now. They hope to get Santana back sometime early next week.
And that pitch right there is a backdoor breaking ball. What you're trying to accomplish there as a pitcher is get the hitter to give up on the pitch because he sees it's outside and then have that late break. And P.J. Walters just ran off and left this pitch.
Full count. And ball 4. So the start of a rally for the Indians, first and second. 1 down. Here's tonight's defensive alignment for the Twins, brought to you by Scott's, Willingham, Spann, and Revere across the outfield. Plouffe and Dozier, Carroll and Morneau. Joe Mauer back behind the plate for the first time in nearly a week. 2 on, 1 out, and Jose Lopez, the batter. Lopez filling the DH spot for the Indians in the absence of Travis Hafner. And a breaking ball over, strike 1. They'll be without Hafner for at least another month. He had surgery a couple of days ago on his right knee.
And this is where you want a shutdown inning.
Liner hooking foul, 2 strikes. Then you throw Jack Hanahan, the starting third baseman coming out of spring training. He's got a left calf strain, a great defensive third baseman. And every team will have injuries, just you don't like to have them overlap one another at one particular period of time.
And you don't want it to be the entire middle of your batting order.
Two strikes to Jose Lopez.
Something down in the zone, out of the zone, is what Walters needs to look for here. He's trying to get a ground ball hit.
That's the outside corner with a fastball.
And that's a good 0-2 pitch. I can't tell you how many times this year I've watched pitchers get 0-2, 1-2, and give up base hits. And I think that's where the pitch count really messes with good pitching, because you don't see guys using pitches to set up pitches.
Flared foul, still 1-2. You would not call P.J. Walters a strikeout pitcher, but he did strike out 8 in his complete game win over the White Sox 2 starts ago.
Well, if he's striking guys out, it's because he's gotten ahead, putting them on the defensive, and been able to either throw his curveball, which is extremely slow, or his changeup.
Missing inside, 2-2.
Pretty good pitch right there for Lopez to lay off.
Two and 2 to the Indians DH. Breaking ball missing, and Walters, who walked Cabrera to put 2 men aboard, is in danger of now filling the bases.
And to all 4 of these hitters, he's been 0-2 or 1-2. And the Indians hitters just are not biting on balls out of the zone. I'm trying to figure out what kind of signs they're using, what Joe Mauer is doing, whether it's second sign. I'll be able to tell you here if it's fastball, curveball. Okay, they're going second sign.
Well, if you can tell that from the center field camera, pretty good bet that Shin Soo-Choo can tell that from second base.
Yeah, and if he's tipping them, there's different ways guys will tip pitches. Like they'll look to their right if it's a fastball, look to their left if it's a breaking ball or something off speed.
Another 3-2 to Jose Lopez.
I would say this would be a fastball if they were going second sign, and that's what it was.
Pair of walks issued by Walters. The Indians sent their pitching coach out to the mound in the top of the first, and now the Twins will send Rick Anderson.
Well, and this is not what the Twins wanted. Like I said, a shutdown inning. You get 4 runs in the first inning. You want to go out there and get your defense back off the field and in the dugout to keep their lineup moving.
Tomorrow, Fox Sports is proud to bring you exclusive coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing from the Dover International Speedway as defending champion Matt Kenseth leads the world's best drivers onto the Monster Mile in a chase for the checkered flag. Our coverage of the FedEx 400 benefiting Autism Speaks begins tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific on Fox. So the Indians have loaded the bases, tying run at the plate, and that's Michael Brantley. Brantley getting a chance to play on an everyday basis because once again this year the Indians have been forced to play without Grady Sizemore. Sizemore took some batting practice today. He hopes to work his way back. One away, and Brantley takes a ball down and away.
Wow. Well, and it's not helping that, in my opinion, you're getting squeezed a little bit behind the plate right there.
One and oh. Bouncer to second. Might be 2. Carroll to Dozier. And beating the relay is Brantley. A run will score. It's 4-1. So Brantley drives in a run, reaching in a fielder's choice, and the Indians are on the board in the first.
Looked to be just a changeup, not hit hard enough really to even turn this double play.
So a run in, runners on the corners. Brantley beating the play easily. Chu coming in from third base. And Casey Kochman for the plate.
Well, limit the damage. If you're P.J. Walters, limit the damage. Get out of here. You still have a 3-run lead.
Called strike.
Wow. I can understand where there's going to be some frustration because that pitch to me is down. He called the first pitch at last hitter a ball, and this a strike. Now, if you're a pitcher, how can you figure out what you've got to do?
You're asking me?
Yeah. What would you do, Dick, in that situation? You throw one in the strike zone, he calls it a ball. You throw one that's ankle high, he calls it a strike. And all you want as a pitcher is whatever the strike zone is, just have it be consistent. And it's your job as a pitcher to adjust to the umpire. It's your job as the umpire to establish a strike zone.
Up and away, 2-1. Now Walters struggling almost as mightily as Tomlin did in the top half of this inning. Two and one, and a throw to first.
Okay, and I just figured out that whenever Joe Mauer wiggles 2 fingers, that means throw over to first.
Tom Wiedenbauer, the first base coach for the Indians. 2-1 to Kochman. Bounce to short. And just barely ahead of the sliding Brantley. Dozier gets the final out at second base. The Indians come back with 1 in their half of the first. Is sponsored by the makers of Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. A long first inning for both starting pitchers. Josh Tomlin threw 32 pitches. And P.J. Walters threw 29. Twins batted around in the first inning and scored 4 runs. Denard Span started the inning with a single to right.
And with Manny Acta telling us that the third time around is when they don't like to have Tomlin on the mound, that's not looking real good for Josh Tomlin right now, since he saw them all in the first inning.
1 strike to Span. Revere and Mauer will follow. Pulled foul, 2 strikes. Tomlin just off the disabled list. We mentioned he had some inflammation in his right wrist. He says it first flared up during a split doubleheader here, and it was a rainy night here in Cleveland, and he was gripping the ball too tightly in the rain because of a wet baseball, particularly on his curveball, and ended up getting some inflammation in his wrist.
Well, I never had that problem because I never threw a curveball.
Down and away, 2-2.
I want you all to watch how Lou Marson is receiving these pitches. I always wanted a catcher just to stick it and not let the pitch move his glove like that.
They call third strike, and the first out of the inning. Denard Span, the first strikeout victim for Josh Tomlin.
You see where Marson has the glove set? That's exactly what he wants to do, is just stick that pitch. And so far in this game, I've seen him let the ball move his glove and take a pitch that's in the zone and force it out of the zone.
Here's Ben Revere. He singled to center in the first inning. The Twins got their 4 runs on a walk and 5 singles. Outside, ball 1. Number to the right side, and Tomlin takes care of it himself. Not a bad idea given Revere's speed. If you come off the mound, can feel it, go ahead and run it to first. 2 away. The Ford keys to the game this evening.
Well, the Ford keys to the game for me, for the Twins, small ball, force the issue. And what I mean by that is bunt, hit and run, make the defense perform. And for the Indians, catch the baseball, make all the routine plays. You've got a pitcher on the mound that throws strikes. So far, Minnesota's managed to find a whole lot of green grass out there, though.
Mauer bounced a single through the left side of the infield. Now he lashes one to left, another base hit. And Mauer's aboard with a 2-out single.
And you know, they do that shift for right-handed hitters. If I'm the Indians, I might move all my outfielders left of center field and just pitch him away.
Here's Josh Willingham. Going to pop up to Cabrera in the midst of all the singles and the 4-run scoring in the first inning.
So you're going to start him with a breaking ball.
Strike 1. Willingham signing a 3-year deal with the Twins during the offseason. Signed in part to replace the likes of Michael Kadire, Jason Kubel, some other free agents that left the Twins organization. Fouled back on the signing of Willingham. You touched on it earlier. An important one for the Twins because through his career he has been a pull hitter. And in the Twins' new ballpark, Target Field, it's a tougher ballpark to hit one out of than the Metrodome was. And pretty much you need to pull the ball if you want to hit home runs consistently. And Willingham has been that guy for the Twins.
Well, and the only way Willingham's going to hit a ball out of the opposite field off of a pitcher is for him to be late on a ball in the middle. Basically, he'll be looking for a breaking ball and get a fastball and just drive it that way because he's late on it. But he is a notorious pull hitter. They're going back to a slider here. So you're going to see the catcher slide outside.
And Willingham might have cracked his bat, but he drops a single to left. The 7th single for the Twins here in the first 2 innings against Josh Tomlin. That'll bring up Justin Morneau, who singled and scored last inning.
Tomlin got 2 quick outs in this inning. And now he's sitting here back in trouble again. 2 outs and 2 guys on, and the guy at the plate that you really don't want to face in this situation. And Justin Morneau.
Foul back. 1 strike. Morneau overall hitting .242 after his first inning single, but a rather dramatic split between right-handed pitching and left-handed pitching.
And Dick, you get to see him on an everyday basis. Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that versus left-handers, he's coming off this concussion syndrome and staying in there on left-handers? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I don't think so, because it wasn't a concussion that was caused by being hit by a pitch. He took a knee to the head sliding into second base in Toronto. Ron Gardenhire told us today that during Francisco Liriano's bullpen session, Morneau went down to the bullpen just to stand in against Liriano, just wanting to be able to see the ball coming out of a left-hander's hand better to determine whether it's a strike or a ball.
Right.
And hitting over 300 against right-handers, that hasn't been the issue, but as you saw, sub 100 against lefties. 2-2. Twins making Tomlin work again here in the second inning after he retired the first 2 batters rather quickly.
You know, you saying that about Justin going down there and standing in on Liriano. I don't know if they could have paid a man enough to go down and stand in on one of my bullpen sessions.
Half swing, and he went too far. Larson flips to first in the inning ends. The threat, but Tomlin strikes out Morneau to strand a couple of runners in the second inning. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Beautiful Saturday night here at Progressive Field in Cleveland. The Indians, the first place team in the American League Central for most of the season so far. White Sox caught and passed them over the last several days. Johnny Damon will lead off the second against P.J. Walters.
Well, and a lot of people may wonder why the Indians would sign Johnny Damon. The Indians got off to a great start last year, and there's a learning curve in this game on how to learn how to win. Well, trust me, Johnny Damon is a veteran player that knows how to win. And that's what they're looking for here in Cleveland is you can have a manager that's going to set down the rules. He's going to manage a team. But within the confines of that clubhouse, you want somebody, a peer, that is going to teach you how to win. Johnny isn't the player he used to be. He'll admit that. But upstairs, he knows how to win ball games.
Still has an outside chance of getting his 3,000th hit. He signed late with the Indians. This one poked to left. Willingham comes in and catches the line drive one away. Let's go to Greg Amsinger at MLB Network for a DirecTV game break.
Hey guys, for the first time this year, there's a game where 4 combined home runs have been hit in the first 2 innings of a game. Drew Stubbs goes yard, his 7th of the year. It's 8-2. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Dick, Mitch, listen to this. Wandy Rodriguez, 6 outs. He served up 3 home runs. Back to you.
Ouch.
Pitches away to Lonnie Chisenhall, who hit a home run here last night. Chisenhall with a 2-run home run to start the scoring for the Indians. We showed you Jack Hanahan on the disabled list with a calf injury. Chisenhall, an offensive player who Matty Acta said today has really tightened up his defensive game. Ultimately, that will keep him up at the major league level. The Indian staff largely made up of sinker ball pitchers. So you look around their infield, and they've got to have guys who can catch the ball. They have that at short. They have that at second. With Kochman, they have that at first. There's a bouncer to Dozier, the Twins shortstop. 2 away, and where Chisenhall really needs to improve his game is with his glove and his arm, and if he can continue to tighten that up, he's got a great future with his Cleveland pitching staff.
Well, Reggie Jackson used to have a saying that if you shake the tree in baseball, 10 gloves fall out of it and 1 back. Well, I'm a big fan of players that can play both sides of the baseball. If you can play both sides, you can hit and you can field. And Minnesota is notorious for being a fundamentally sound organization. They build from within. They're not a big free agent team that goes out and hunts down free agents. They build their players from within and trust them.
Larson spanks one to left, a 2-out single. And that will get us back to the top of the Cleveland order and Shin-Soo Choo. Marson hardly looks like a guy who got hit in the mouth a few days ago by a pitch. Had some stitches taken out yesterday.
Yeah, you can see right there in the to our right-hand side of his lip.
Very lucky, taking a breaking pitch off the lips. Kept his teeth, had some stitches. And this on the heels of the Santana injury. Here is Choo, and he takes a strike at the knees. Gavin Floyd's curveball got away from him. 1 strike to Shin-Soo Choo. He singled and scored in the first inning.
And I can see why Walters has had success. He doesn't have overpowering stuff, but what he does do, he throws across his body, which means his landing foot, he's cross-firing, which means the hitters don't pick the ball up. So an 88-mile-an-hour fastball looks like it's 95.
Roller up the middle, cut down by Dozier, flips to second, and they got the force at second base. A good play by the rookie shortstop as he ends the second inning by flipping to Jamie Carroll. baseball night in America, presented by Budweiser. Twins with a 4-1 lead over the Indians. Dick Bramer and Mitch Williams. Ryan Doman, the batter for the Twins, leading off the third, and he takes a strike at the knees. Happy to be joined by right-handed pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, Justin Masterson. Justin, this Indian team, really one of the great stories in baseball, getting off to such a good start again this year. What do you think the team might have learned last year when you guys got off to a good start, and then middle of the year on it, things didn't go so well?
I'll tell you one thing we learned is it feels great to be in first place. I think that was one of the biggest things. We started off, really good last year. This year we've been a little bit more consistent, I feel like. But I'll tell you, guys who come up realize that, hey, it's fun to win, and that's what we want to do.
Justin, it's Mitch, and I got to ask you, you're the ace of this staff. Your team is playing well. You're a game and a half out of first place, and to be honest, you probably haven't thrown your best baseball yet.
No, I haven't.
So that's got to make you feel good, though, doesn't it?
It does.
You know that your team is playing well and you haven't hit your stride yet?
No, I think that's what's really exciting. I've had some inconsistencies, some really good games, some really bad games, and a couple in between. And it does. And I think our starting staff in general has had a few of those. And I think that's what's even exciting about our starting staff, our offense and everything. No one's really playing out of their shoes, but we're all kind of slowly coming into our stride. And that's what we're excited as the season continues to go on.
Strike one to Brian Dozier. Justin, I'm wondering, as a fairly young sinker ball pitcher, what, if anything, you've learned having Derek Lowe on the staff, who's just been outstanding for you guys this year?
Oh, that guy's been great. I mean, he's a tremendous individual. The biggest thing is, this guy's been doing it for 16 years, and he's a little crazy, which I think we all are. Especially got to be able to do it 16 years, but he brings such a great attitude to the game.
Dozier with a sharp single to center.
He takes every start like it's his last one, doesn't he?
Oh, without a doubt. And he's going out there and he's giving it all he's got. And, what's great, he's a really good teammate. He loves the game. He loves seeing what everyone's doing. So if you're out there, maybe a few struggles here or there, he's watching the video for you, because he just loves the game and just loves to figure things out. And it's just been fun to work through everything with him, the starting staff and just in general.
A one-out single for Brian Dozier. Trevor Plouffe hit. He drove in 2 runs with a single in the first inning.
And Justin, the competitive side of Derek Lowe, I got to witness that firsthand in the ping pong room today with his 8-year-old son, and he wasn't trying to take it easy on his son either.
He doesn't take it easy in anything. I saw him a little bit later playing RBI baseball on Nintendo, and he was still whooping up on his kid. But it's the same thing. Last night he pitched great for us, and he was still upset that he didn't catch the ball at first base. Like, dude, you gave up 1 run. come on, don't get too greedy here.
Tell him I played 16 years of professional baseball and never made that play 1 time.
Down and away to Plouffe. Mitch talked earlier about the presence of Johnny Damon on this roster, and Johnny Damon has proven that he is a winner. Same, too, I would think, for Derek Lowe, right? The guy's been through the wars. He's, pitched the Red Sox to the World Series, and boy, it's got to be a great benefit for the other members of the staff to have him take the ball every 5th day and just see how he goes about his business.
Oh, without a doubt. And they're similar but very different. They bring such a great energy to the game. Johnny just always positive, happy, go lucky, pushing guys. Hey, let's do it. Even if he's not at his best, he's like, oh, we got this, guys. Don't worry. Never feeling sorry for himself, and it's great to have that attitude. And I'll tell you, Derek brings the same thing. It's 2 guys who have been around, who have won some things. Derek's thrown a no-hitter, done countless things, and yet they're here, they're playing, they're grinding every day, and you see what makes them so good is because, for young guys on this team, it's how hard they work, and they're in there working every single day to try and get better.
Well, you don't play 16 years at the big league level as these two both. I'm not sure how many years it is for Johnny. It's at least 16.
Yeah. I
know I played with him when he was a rookie in Kansas City. I was in Kansas City for about 35 minutes, I think, before they invited me to leave.
Hey, it happens sometimes.
But can you point to any one thing this year with you? Because your delivery is so different than anyone else's in the game. I'm not saying that in a bad way.
No.
It's unique. You're a power pitcher that comes from the side.
Yeah, it is very unique, and you know, there's those minor things. You know, you continue to learn. I think that's what makes the game so great. You know, Bob Kipper, you know, told me a single A, you're always working. You know, you're working to find it. Once you find it, you're working to keep it. And so we're at a spot where we've worked and we found some things, and now we're trying to keep what we found. And again, it's a little unorthodox, so there's certain things that, you know, it's sometimes just the littlest thing, but I don't know, it makes it so much fun. You know, it's kooky, but it's fun.
Justin Masterson will let you watch the rest of the ball game from the dugout. Thank you for your time. The Indians off to a good start again this year. We'll see if they can keep it up throughout the 2012 season.
Hey, that sounds great to me. Always a pleasure, guys.
Good luck, Justin. Finish up strong.
Hey, thank you. Good luck tonight.
Jamie Carroll, the batter, a runner at first, now 2 away, 1 strike to the Twins' second baseman. Carroll, of course, used to play the middle infield here in Cleveland and helped out the sinker ball pitchers on the staff, a very sure-handed veteran.
In talking with Ron Gardner about Jamie Carroll and the reason they got him, this is a guy that does everything fundamentally right. He's not going to be spectacular. He's going to move runners along. He can hit behind guys at first base. If you got to have a ball hit the other way, he'll hit it the other way.
He waves at strike 3. The Twins strand another runner at first. They've got a 4-1 lead through 2.5.
Makeover program, Chevrolet employees recently started a field makeover right in their own backyard at Jane Field in the city of Detroit. The Jane Field project is just one of the many field makeovers Chevy has completed since 2010. Enter your community for a youth field makeover at ChevyBaseball.com.
Bottom of the third, Jason Kipnis will lead it off for Cleveland against right-hander P.J. Walters. Walters part of a revamped Twins rotation. By injury or ineffectiveness, the Twins have had to go to plan B and beyond to get some good starts, and Walters has given them that. And today he was staked to an early 4-0 lead, 1-1.
And he's getting his pitches over early in the count, and that's what you want to do. You want to keep your infield active and on their toes.
Bobbled by Dozier, and Kipnis will reach.
And right as I started to say that, this is what happens. Hits off the heel of his glove and really never could recover from it.
An error on the shortstop will get Cabrera to the plate with a man aboard.
What impresses me about pitchers is when at the end of the year you've got that runs and earned runs category. The fewer runs I see in the unearned category, that tells me the pitcher is making pitches to get out of trouble and save his teammates.
Strike one to Asdrubal Cabrera.
Because I don't care what pitcher you are, your team is going to make errors behind you. It then becomes incumbent upon you as the pitcher to make those errors mean nothing.
Swing and a foul. Well, Dozier, the shortstop who committed the error, turned in a fine play to wrap up the second inning. And you're out there on the mound, you realize that in the end they'll even out.
It does all even out. They're going to make more good plays behind you that save your behind than they are going to make those plays that. So what? You got a guy on. Make a pitch. If they hit it to Dozier here, I'll bet it'll turn you a double play and it'll all be forgotten.
2 strikes to Cabrera. They got the runner. You say they had him picked off, but Kipnis just took off, and Walters never looked over there. So a stolen base with Kipnis 2/3 of the way to second base by the time Walters delivered the pitch.
And that right there, what I talked about earlier about you can hold runners just by changing your times. If you don't change your times, that's what can happen. Because Kipnis had him timed and he took off.
1-2 to Cabrera. And now 2-2.
That's a good pitch right there. Stood Cabrera up a little bit. Now if he can come back and make a changeup on the outer third, something down and off speed, it'll make that pitch he just threw an effective pitch.
Pulled foul. Walters signed by the Twins as a minor league free agent. He was with the Cardinals most of last year, finished the year with Toronto. And he said he signed with the Twins because of their history of promoting from within. Even if he didn't make the team out of spring training, as he didn't expect to, thought if there were some problems along the way that he might get a call up sooner with Minnesota than with some other teams. I don't know that even he expected to get called up in early May. Little flare, and it drops over Pluse. Kipnis around third. He's going to score to second base. Out at second. Cabrera tried to stretch a single into a double. He's out. But on the play, Kipnis scores from second base, and it's 4-2.
And that's a great hustle play right here. You see right there, Josh Willingham never gave up on that ball, went after it the whole way as hard as he could. That ball is a double 9 times out of 10.
Cabrera almost slipped out of the tag of Jamie Carroll. Base is empty, 4-2 the score. Here's Jose Lopez. Driven foul down the left field line. Lopez in his own way has been a godsend for the Indians, with Hafner going down because of injury. There's a drive to left center and hit pretty well. Span with a catch in the gap for out number 2. Denard Span with a long run and a great catch at the end of it.
There is no substitute for speed, people. He flat out outran that baseball. And the dangerous part of this play is if that right foot would have hung in that wall right there like it did.
In Span's case, every time he collides with a wall, there's the added issue of his concussion-related symptoms that surfaced last year in a home plate collision. You can see his spikes puncturing the padded wall. Strike on the outside corner to Brantley. But Span had his 2011 season all but ruined because of some concussion symptoms. So every time there's any contact with him, there's the concern that something might be jarred and he'll be going through another round of dizziness and disorientation.
And you know, you wonder, I mean, the sports hasn't changed all that much, over the last 50 years. But you wonder how many guys played through all those concussion syndromes where they simply weren't known about.
Spent some time this week with Ray Fosse, who does broadcasting for the Oakland A's. With Fosse involved in the famous collision with Pete Rose. There's a strikeout to end the third inning. An error leads to an unearned run. A nice catch keeps the damage to a minimum. Sponsored by the all-new Mazda CX-5 with 35 highway MPG. Top of the fourth inning, a 4-2 ball game. Twins in front. Denard Span will lead things off in the fourth. He'll be followed by Ben Revere and Joe Mauer. Sharply hit, and it skips over the glove of Kochman. And Span has a base hit.
He's hit the ball hard a couple of times tonight. And you're starting to see these guys, this is the third time through the order. This is where Manny Acta said hitters start to get to Josh Tomlin the third time through the order. And that ball was scorched right there.
A leadoff single in the fourth for Span. The leadoff plate appearance in the bottom of the third has already been changed by the official score. Jason Kipnis now getting a hit instead of an error being charged to Brian Dozier. There's a bunt by Ben Revere, and it rolls foul.
And Tomlin's season highs coming into tonight. Hits allowed 8. He's already surpassed that. Runs allowed 5. He's given up 4 so far tonight.
He has kept the ball in the ballpark. Typically, he's a fly ball pitcher, gives up a lot of home runs. Every Twins hit so far has been a single. Revere tried to drop down a bunt single in front of Chisenhall. And Span checked again at first.
Now that sun is gone, it's not such a problem for the first baseman picking up that ball on a pickoff throw. Casey Kochman's liking life a little better right now.
Revere snaps his bat. There's a bouncer. Kochman gets the out there. Revere beats the relay. So Revere at first with one away. Let's go to Greg Amsinger at MLB Network for a game break.
Well, the White Sox 9-game winning streak is over. Adam Dunn grounds out into the shift. Final score in 12 innings, 10-8 M's. 8 total home runs hit in this game, 16 different pitchers used. Guys, back to you in Cleveland.
Thank you, Greg. So Cleveland now a game out. If they can come back and win this game, they'll be just a half game out. I mentioned at the very outset they've had, the Indians have, kind of a hex against the Twins. They've won 11 of the last 12 ball games between the two teams. It's a 4-2 ball game now. Mauer at the plate and Revere at first. Mauer takes inside, ball one. Mauer with a couple of hits to left field in the first 2 innings.
And you talked about Mauer hitting into 12 double plays so far this year. This is where Tomlin has really got to do his work and hold Revere close at first base.
And for Revere, 4 steals in 5 tries. One and 0, Tomlin to Mauer. And now a strike.
Change up down in the zone. Tomlin's trying to get Mauer out on that front foot and get him to roll over on something.
55 hits on the year for Mauer, 15 extra base hits, a dozen doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs. 2-1. See if the Twins send Revere here. Either in a stolen base or a hit and run. Revere stays put, and the ball hit right at the second baseman. The 13th double play Joe Mauer has hit into, and Tomlin faces just 3 men in the 4th inning. baseball night in America, presented by Budweiser. A 4-2 Minnesota lead. Casey Kochman leading off the fourth inning. First pitch tapped to first. Morneau has it, goes to the bag, one away. And P.J. Walters will take all of those he can get. He, like Josh Tomlin, had a terrible time in the first inning. A lot of pitches thrown, a lot of batters faced. Walters came back facing just 4 men in the second, 4 men in the third. And on one pitch, he gets the first out of the fourth.
And that's what you want. It does not matter how many it takes. Ultimately, you want the ball put in play as quickly as possible.
Damon takes low, ball one.
As we look at the pitches by inning, I mean, it says it all in that first inning. 29 in the first, and hasn't gone beyond 13 since. So he's gotten comfortable.
2-0. Damon's going to miss some time. He's going to be given time off for paternity leave, and the Indians in all likelihood are going to call up Matt Laporta to take his spot on the roster.
Wow, the umpire started to call that a strike and stopped.
3-0. Down the middle of strike. And off the plate, a walk puts Johnny Damon aboard. Chevrolet is helping to build the next generation of diamonds and dreams. Here's our own Ken Rosenthal to tell you more.
As part of Chevrolet's Diamonds and Dreams Youth Field Makeover program, Chevrolet employees recently started a field makeover right in their own backyard at Jane Field in the city of Detroit. The Jane Field project is just one of the many field makeovers Chevy has completed since 2010. Enter your community for a youth field makeover at ChevyBaseball.com.
Strike at the knees to Lonnie Chisenhall. 3 walks issued by Walters. Indians have 4 hits. And Chisenhall represents the tying run with 1 gone here in the fourth. Up high, 1-1. Chisenhall last night teed off on Carl Pavano on an 0-2 pitch. And golfed it out of here.
See, I think that's a direct reflection of the pitch count. Pitchers not want to waste pitches to set up other pitches.
Up the middle, and that'll skip through. Damon around second. He'll go to third, and Chisenhall has a sharp single to center with 1 out in the fourth. First and third, 1 gone for Lou Marson. Marson singled his last time up. The Twins, by the way, are sending Carl Pavano back to the Twin Cities. He'll have an MRI on his troublesome right shoulder. And they'll try to come up with another plan of attack. They've done everything for Pavano in his fatigued right shoulder other than put him on the disabled list. That might be the next step for Pavano and the Twins. Here's Marson. There is strike 1.
And this is where P.J. Walters has got to look to get the ball down in the zone, get a ground ball. If he can get out of this inning without giving up a run and get back in that dugout and still hold a 2-run lead, he's got to be feeling pretty good about himself.
As you saw, it's not just Josh Tomlin struggling in the middle innings. Walters' numbers balloon after 60 pitches. 1-1. The exception, of course, is complete game victory over the White Sox. The only complete game the Twins have had this year from any of their starting pitchers. 1-1 to Lou Marson. Chisenhall takes off. Bauer's throw off the bag, and it's a stolen base. And the tying run now in scoring position.
Well, that looked like a hit and run. Judging by the way Larson went at this ball at the plate, yeah, I believe that's a hit and run, because he's trying to protect the runner in that situation.
So second and third, one away. 1-2 to the Indian catcher. Bouncer to short. And Dozier will sling it across for the second out. A run scores. And on the plate, Chisenhall moves up to third. Damon comes in from third base, and it's a one-run ball game.
And that's what that stolen base does for you. That right there, probably a double play ball. But that stolen base takes him out of a double play situation and ends up leading to a run.
And now Shin-Soo Choo, and the tying run now 90 feet away. Choo has a single and had a base hit taken away from him on a fine play by Brian Dozier to wrap up the second inning. Down and in. Choo dances out of the way.
He's done that a lot this year, hasn't he? He's dodged a bunch of them this year. And the reason being, I mean, people think that he's been thrown at a lot, but he's a guy that stands on the plate and doesn't give.
Swinging a foul, 1-1. Choo's been hit 6 times. That leads the Indians 1-1. He dances out of the way of Walter's fastball. 2-1.
See, all hitters stand to protect their weakness. Any hitter you see stand on the plate, he told me he couldn't hit the ball away. Anybody that stood off the plate is telling me they can't hit the ball in.
And Walters hits the outside corner. 2-2. Choo, like Morneau, has rather severe splits between right and left-handed pitchers. And Walter strikes him out to end the fourth. Indians fell behind early 4-0. They're getting back into the game one run at a time. rapid Robert Feller statue outside of Jacobs Field. Used to be Jacobs Field, now Progressive Field. Twins have a 4-3 lead. Josh Willingham, Justin Morneau, Ryan Doumit will face Josh Tomlin. Twins touched Tomlin for 5 singles and 4 runs in the first. The Twins have had at least 1 hit in every inning so far against Tomlin. Willingham singled against him in the second.
You got to look to stay away from this guy.
1-1.
And that right there, that pitch is the pitch I'm talking about, sticking. Masterson let that pitch carry his glove down in the zone. If he's able to stick that, the umpire may call that a strike.
2-1. Lifted to right field, harmlessly to Chu. 1 down. And that'll bring up Justin Morneau, who's 1 for 2 in the ball game. Last week, Jeff Francoeur became the latest star to stop by the MLB Fan Cave. Francoeur was serenaded with an original ballad by cave dweller Ricky Mast.
If you want someone to hustle, then he is the guy that you will call.
Watch MLB Fan Cave player videos and stay up to date on the latest cave happenings by visiting MLBFancave.com. Follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like the MLB Fan Cave on Facebook. Morneau with 2 strikes.
And that's a good breaking ball right there by Tomlin. Now he's got him 0-2. Now you got to make a pitch.
A drive to center and hit fairly well. Chased by Brantley. And Brantley makes the catch right on the edge of the warning track, up against the wall. Out number 2.
And that shows my point to the 0-2 count and throwing a strike in an 0-2 count. Watch where this pitch is. This is right down Broadway. A hanging breaking ball. That's where you bounce it. See if you can get him to chase, but to throw a breaking ball that's hanging in the middle of the plate right there, he got away with it.
2 down, and here's Ryan Doumit. Strike on the outside corner. Well, as wobbly as Tomlin looked in the first inning, giving up 5 hits and a walk and 4 runs, he has persevered here tonight and seems on the verge of giving the Indians at least 5 innings. 1-1.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they let him go back out there. His pitch count is up, obviously.
Doumit pounds it foul, 1-2.
And that's all he can do with that pitch. There's certain hitters that you throw the ball inside because there is no way that they can swing at it and keep the ball in fair territory.
Two and 2. Chop, maybe even off the plate to the right side. The shortstop Cabrera cuts it off, flips to Kochman, and Tomlin has his first 1-2-3 inning.
Today's game, presented by Budweiser, is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. Twins had an early 4-0 lead. Now it's 4-3 Minnesota. Wind blowing out toward right field here at Progressive Field. Jason Kipnis, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Jose Lopez will face right-hander P.J. Walters.
And this is the big inning for P.J. It's fifth. He's got to lead. He's got to get through this inning with the lead to get a win in this game. And the power threat for the Indians is at the plate right now.
Kipnis hit his 9th last night. Cabrera has 5. Lopez with a couple. 1-1. Walters about to throw his 78th pitch on the outside corner. Walters worked his way through the Cardinal organization and broke through first in 2009, then 10 for 7 games, 3 starts, and 4 appearances last year. 4 relief appearances totaling 4 innings. Didn't pitch particularly well, and then was dealt to Toronto. But earlier this week, he was presented his 2011 World Championship ring by the Twins, or through the Twins, by the Cardinals. 2-2. And a tapper foul.
Hey, 4 innings and you get a World Series ring? You're living right.
Walter's just kind of a down-home guy. The ring a little gaudy, he says, for him. Most of them are these days.
Well, yeah, they're not meant to be worn exactly.
2-2. And a liner past Morneau and into right field. So Kipnis is aboard with a leadoff single here in the 5th.
This is what's so impressive about this kid to me. For a young hitter, he starts with that weird approach, the flat bat, and this is a changeup. Keeps his hands back, and you see the grip right there. That's the circle change grip. But Kipnis just stays on the ball, keeps his hands back, and hits the ball hard through the hole. He's going to be, I think we're just starting to see, we're scratching the surface of how good this kid's going to be.
Now Cabrera, a single and a walk so far tonight, and he takes a strike on the inside corner. Really no secrets to what Walters tries to do. We've seen him consistently try to establish a fastball on the inside corner, drop the changeup away from the batters as he tried to do to Kipnis, but Kipnis stayed on the changeup and got a base hit.
Well, that's the one thing about it. If you're going to throw a changeup to a left-hander, it better be off the plate, away. The whole key to a changeup, what you're trying to get accomplished, you want that hitter to pull off. So if you get him to pull off and the ball's on the inner third, he can still get his bat to the ball.
1-1 to Cabrera. And Walters got all tied up with his footwork on his pickoff move.
I'm surprised they didn't call that a balk.
You can't, he caught his spikes.
Yeah, you cannot spin here. You have that's a balk. And he might have hurt himself right there because he did hang a spike.
Ron Gardenhire, Dave Prumer, the lead trainer for the Twins, coming out to check on Walters. And a lot of head nodding, not shaking. So Walters will, I think, stay in the ball game.
I would imagine they'll have him throw a couple. Well, normally if they're going to throw a couple, the trainer and manager would stay out there, so maybe he's not gonna.
So the count is 1-1. Next Saturday on Baseball Night in America, interleague play returns as the Indians head to St. Louis to take on the Cardinals, as both teams look to keep pace near the top of their divisions. Or the Mets head to the Bronx to battle the Yankees, Royals, Pirates, Dodgers, Mariners, Rays, Marlins. Baseball Night in America next Saturday. That off the plate, and it's 2-1.
Yeah, if I'm both starting pitchers right now, I'm baffled as to what I have to do and where I have to throw the ball to consistently get it called a strike.
Looked to be very similar to the pitch that called out Denard Span inning or so ago. Now inside, and it's 3-1.
I'm absolutely confused because you're not giving the pitch away. You're not giving the pitch in. You call one guy out on a strike 3 that's chest high. So as a pitcher, it's just really hard to get in a groove when you don't know what the zone is.
3-1 to Cabrera. And a look over at first, and Kipnis never budges.
Well, Kipnis probably understands that Walters probably doesn't want to throw over there again.
Now the 3-1. 3-2.
You never like to speculate, but I'm guessing he tweaked his right knee a little bit on that spike hanging on that pickoff move. But you put a win in front of the pitcher in the 5th inning, it's pretty hard to get him to come out of the game.
Kipnis started towards second and then held up after about 3 quick steps. Another foul off the bat of Cabrera. Brian Dunsing warming up in the Twins bullpen. Walter's struggling here. He's, as Mitch said earlier, gone at least 6 innings in every one of his starts. There's a throw to first without the spikes getting caught.
Well, and that's the thing. You cannot spin with your feet. Your right foot has to clear the rubber and basically jump and turn towards the guy on first.
Kipnis takes off, and Cabrera fouls another pitch away. And the pitch count continues to mount for Walters. When he pitched his complete game against the White Sox, he threw 110 pitches. In his most recent start, 6 innings against the Tigers, and he threw 93.
He's looking for that ground ball right here.
Instead, a liner to right. Revere with a running catch and the first out. So a long battle, and Cabrera hit a blistering line drive to right. Revere caught it, 1 down. That'll bring up Jose Lopez. This MLB season on Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Clubs of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. 1 gone, Kipnis still at first, and here's Jose Lopez. Hit a line drive to left center field, hauled in at the wall by Denard Span. At the knees, a strike. Mentioned that Lopez has been a valuable bat for the Indians. On May 1st, they designated him for assignment, and nobody else wanted him, and lo and behold, by the end of the month, he's hitting cleanup for Cleveland because of the injury to Travis Hafner.
Well, he's traveled a bit in his career.
1-1.
Walter's definitely looking for that double play ball here. He wants to get Lopez out on his front foot, get him to roll over on something.
1-2. In his 4 prior starts, Walters had gotten 7 ground ball double plays turned behind him. One and 2. Between Steve Smith and the line.
Schmitty, he and I go back a long ways, clear back to the San Diego organization. I signed in '82 with San Diego, and I think Schmitty was playing in Vegas in AAA.
Cash signs across the diamond to Kipnis. 1-2. And a nearly errant throw. Morneau had to reach up and to the left.
It's a good thing Justin is right-handed, because I think a left-handed first baseman, that ball's down the line.
Roll to the right side, and it bleeds through. Kipnis round second. He'll go to third. And Lopez finds some room between Morneau and Carroll, and the tying runs at third with one away.
That's a really good job of fighting a pitch off. He's going to have to ice his thumbs. Watch how this ball eats him up inside. He actually got his hands inside of it, and it looks like he got the barrel of the bat on the ball. He didn't get much extension. And that's the 16th hit in this game. All of them singles.
Yeah. Michael Brantley, 0 for 2 in the ball game. Drove in a run with a ground ball. Was called out on strikes to end the third inning.
And this is going to be a tough guy to double up.
Base hit, and the Indians have tied it. Third hit of the inning, and it's 4 apiece.
I would be willing to bet that would be the last hitter that Walter gets to face. Yep, and here comes Gardy.
So P.J. Walters handed a 4-0 lead. He limps literally through the 5th inning, giving up the tying run, another single. Third hit of the inning for Cleveland, and they've tied it up in the 5th. P.J. Walters has seen the Indians score single runs in innings 1, 3, 4, 1 so far here in the 5th. But still 2 Indians on the bases, and Brian Dunsing comes into the ball game for the 24th time. Facing Casey Kochman. At the knees at 92 miles per hour.
I really like Brian Dunsing. He's done everything. Started, relieved. But there's a whole lot to like about this left-hander.
Used exclusively out of the bullpen this year. has always been much more effective against left-handed batters than right. One strike to Kochman. And now 1-1. Conversely, the Indians have struggled all year long against left-handed pitching. Their team batting average just .215 against lefties. They've handled right-handers just fine.
Well, that tells you that their switch hitters hit much better left-handed than they do right-handed.
Roll to the right side. Kochman stumbles coming out of the box, and he will be retired at first, with Carroll looking at second and opting not to throw there.
Well, I don't think he could have gotten him out.
He tripped over the bat.
Yeah, I don't think Jamie Carroll had a play at second base. It was too late.
Well, credit Michael Brantley for getting a great break on the ground ball. A huge lead to start with. And you're right. I don't know that would have been an out at second at all.
No, I think he'd have been safe.
So credit Brantley for staying out of the double play. And here's Damon with 2 men aboard in scoring position in a tie game.
And this is the one thing, Johnny Damon, being the veteran hitter that he is, he's going to go up there and know that Dunsing's going to want to work him away. And Johnny will be happy to dump a ball just over the shortstop's head.
1-0 to Damon. They move him off the plate. 2-0.
Now, if I'm Damon, I'm definitely looking outer third. We'll see what Maurer puts down for his signals.
Slow breaking ball over for the first strike. 2-1. Batting average might not seem like much, but that's a lot of years with a lot of key hits in spots like this. 2-1. And that just got the inside corner. 2-2. Dunsing off the plate with fastballs has come back to even the count with breaking pitches.
And this is where Damon is hard to put away because he's not looking to hit a home run.
And Dunsing strikes him out. The Indians tie it up, leave 2 men aboard, and we head to the 6th in a tie game. game presented by Budweiser is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Jeep. We are tied at 4 going out of the 6th inning. Brian Dozier, Trevor Plouffe, Jamie Carroll, bottom third of the Twins lineup to face Josh Tomlin. Strike one to Dozier. Has reached on a fielder's choice and single. Swing and a miss.
That's a good pitch right there. Breaking ball starts in the zone, completely bottom, completely falls out of it.
Talked with Ron Gardner today about Dozier and his progress, development as a regular shortstop. He's been in the lineup just about every day since his call-up. He says he'll be just fine. Right now he's got scrambled eggs upstairs. He's thinking too much. This one lifted to short right center field. And Brantley is there for the catch, one away. One gone in the top of the 6th. Take a look at today's Jeep game summary.
And you look at that, the Twins 4 runs, 5 hits in the first inning off Josh Tomlin. No runs, 4 hits since the first inning. And then you look at P.J. Walters, went 4 1/3 with 8 hits and 4 earned runs. It's a credit to Tomlin because he could have folded his tent and said, that's it, I'm
deep
done.
Drive to left field. Trevor Plouffe has hit one out. He drove in 2 runs with a first inning single, and he tees off on the first pitch from Tomlin here in the 6th.
And I guess me talking about how Tomlin had bared down and kept the game right where it was. I'm a jinx.
Plouffe hitting his 6th home run of the year, and he's driven in 3 of the 5 runs for Minnesota.
And you see that, just a fastball about as middle as you can get it.
See Marson moving his glove from the corner down and away to the location of the pitch, which was headed up and in, and it never got to the glove. 1-0 now to Jamie Carroll. So the Indians just tie it up in the bottom of the 5th, and 2 batters later the Twins are back in front. Down the right field line. And Chu watches it go about 5 rows back. It's the first hit of the game that has not been a single. One and one. And we mentioned before, Tomlin, more of a fly ball pitcher, tends to give up a lot of home runs. And he's finally given one up here in the 6th. Carroll takes a strike, 1 and 2. On one hop right to Kochman. He'll go to the bag for the 2nd out. Back to the top of the order, and Denard Span. Guys can save 5 gallons of water for every day that they skip shaving. That's why Budweiser's asking baseball fans to join the Grow One, Save a Million campaign to save water for World Environment Day. You got some facial hair there,
yeah.
So you probably don't use the full 5 gallons.
No, I save at least a gallon because I've got the goatee and the mustache.
Here's Span, a couple of hits for the Twin center fielder. A swing and a foul, 1 strike.
If it was up to me, I would be saving 5 gallons a day.
In the offseason, maybe, huh?
When I got to the big leagues, I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't shave till I think my 3rd year in the big leagues.
1 and 1. Tomlin trying to fight his way through 6 innings here. Span takes ball 2. Settled down nicely after a rough first inning, a walk, which is unlike him to begin with, but then the 5 singles all combined to score 4 runs for the Twins. Bouncer to second. Easy play for Kipnis. Span retired, but the Twins retake the lead on Trevor Plouffe's 6th home run of the year.
Cabrera goes straight away center field, no doubt about it. His 10th of the year. Pitching duel at the moment between Kuroda and Porcello. 1-0 Cats. Off to Houston after the Astros came back to take the lead. They were down 8-2 at one point. Ryan Ludwig hits the 5th home run of this game between these two teams. It's 9-9. Dick Mitch back to you in Cleveland.
Thank you, Greg. Had a comeback effort here by the Indians. They fell behind early 4-0, tied it at 4. Now the Twins back in front on the Trevor Plouffe home run. Lonnie Chisenhall will lead off the 6th against Brian Dunsing. Half swing, but a strike. Chisenhall, Marson, and Chu. Off-speed pitch missing the outside corner.
Yeah, that's Dunson's big overhand curveball. He throws 2 different breaking balls. He'll throw the slider, which is obviously much harder, and then that big curveball. That's the slider right there.
Now you might think Dunsing would be left in the game to try to pitch an inning or 2 here for the Twins, but he threw 21 pitches in the game last night. So you can imagine him having gotten the 2 outs in the 5th, maybe trying to get through the 6th here. Then that might be the end of the night for him. The Twins have another left-handed reliever, Glenn Perkins. So we'll see how it plays out for manager Ron Gardenhire. If we're aware of the numbers, then you know the managers and the coaches are, and they know that the Indians just have not had much success against lefties this year.
Well, if Dunsing gets through this inning quickly, throwing 21 pitches last night shouldn't affect him at all tonight. If he can go out there and give them 2 1/3, if I'm Gardenhire, I'm going to try and stretch him that extra inning. If they can get it to the 8th and 9th, then it doesn't tear your bullpen up too much.
2-2. And a foul back. Chisenhall with a pretty good swing at a pitch left right over the middle of the plate. Chisenhall with a single his last time up. He stole second, was left at third base.
See, now I can't understand where that pitch is. I'm baffled. You look at where the catcher's glove is. I'm sorry, but that's a strike.
Full count. And a high pop up to right field. Revere under it. first out of the 6th inning. And that'll bring up Lou Marson. Marson will continue to catch until Carlos Santana comes back. One of the things Sandy Alomar is encouraging Santana to do, and that is get closer to the plate. It's Alomar's contention that one of the reasons Santana got stung so hard by this foul tip is because he was too far behind the plate, lessening the odds of the glove taking the foul tip. I talked with Sandy today about that, and keeping in mind that Santana's only been catching for about 4 or 5 years. He's a converted outfielder and third baseman, so he's still learning the position. But what they want is for Santana to get about where Mauer is. Here's a drive to deep right center field. Span chases it down in that gap. He's shown a lot of range here with a nice pickoff in left center. Now he gets a line drive in right center for out number 2.
Well, that's what speed does for you, especially if you're on the mound. That kind of speed, gap to gap, gives you a lot of confidence as a pitcher. This ball's cutting away from him, and he runs it down with ease.
Here is Shin-Soo Choo.
I think Mauer dumps in the fastball right there, and I think he wants to rethink it and maybe start him off with a breaking pitch. I gave him a fastball.
Choo singled and scored in the first inning. Choo's one of those batters that really struggles against left-handers. Against right-handers, .342.
Well, as I said, he stands on top of the plate.
A drive to left, and it's hit right at Willingham. So Choo with a hard line drive right at the left fielder, and Dunsing has retired all 5 men he's faced. Back to Fox Baseball Night in America, presented by Budweiser. Twins get into the Cleveland bullpen. Left-hander Tony Sipp Comes into the ball game for the Indians. And the first man he'll face is Ben Revere.
You look at Sip's numbers, 23 games. He's got an 0-2 record, elevated ERA at 6.27 in only 18 2/3 innings.
And Revere takes a fastball, strike one.
And Tony Sipp is one of those left-handers who got parts going all over the place. So as a hitter, you really have to concentrate on the arm slot and where that ball was coming out of.
Chop over the head of the third baseman, and that'll be enough for a base hit. Cabrera, had he fielded it cleanly, would not have been able to throw out Ben Revere. And so Revere should reach with a leadoff infield hit.
Well, this will give us a good look at whether or not he'd have got him. And I'm saying no, he would not have gotten him, even if he had to come up with it clean.
So a leadoff hit for Revere, who will take his lead from first Mauer at the plate. Mauer with 2 singles and a ground ball double play.
And I'm going to bet you he takes first pitch.
Because
I was just handed a stat that he's had 217 first pitches thrown to him this year.
Oh, we thought about bunting for a hit.
And he has swung 14 times, which means 6.5% of the time he swings at the first pitch. That tells me he is not afraid to hit behind in the count.
3-time batting champion, taking ball one. Sip fires almost wildly to first. Revere, great speed and steal ability type speed. He is a very good base stealer. Whether he has a good read on Sip's pickoff move or not remains to be seen.
Dick, I think that was a Mitchism right there.
Steal ability?
I just invent words every now and then.
One and one to Mauer. The last pitch, Sip had a high leg kick. There it is again. And Mauer takes strike 2.
A breaking ball. Mauer doesn't think it's a strike. Well, Joe, I'm with you because I don't know what the strike zone is tonight.
Tucked in that right elbow, and Mauer, of course, has been catching the pitches from P.J. Walters and Brian Dunsing.
Well, he has firsthand knowledge of the fact that the strike zone's been everywhere tonight.
Driven to the gap in right center. This one's really tagged, and it's gone. Mauer with a 2-run home run to right center field, and the Twins take a 3-run lead. Revere flew around the bases like the ball was still in play. Mauer took exception to the strike 2 call and took care of the 4th pitch of the at bat.
Yeah, he probably crossed home plate right there and said, "That's a strike." The only question on this was whether or not it's going to be high enough because it was smoked.
Head down from second base on.
Revere recognized right away there was no way they were going to catch that ball.
Willingham with a towering pop-up in foul ground and out of play. Now it's time for the Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stat. Just as the Twins can count on Josh Willingham, you can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results. Willingham with the big walk-off home run against Brian Fuentes and the A's. And 8 runs batted in over his 6-game hitting streak. Big pop up again, this time playable behind the mound. Kipnis calls for it. 1 away.
And that is how it is done. I heard Kipnis from up here yelling, "I got it, I got it." You get to the big league level and you see these mistakes that are made on the field on pop-ups where there's lack of communication. Listen here.
Everybody turned and walked away as they're supposed to.
That's exactly what's supposed to happen right there. And the pitcher in that situation, as soon as he hears the guy yell, he's got it, he's got to join in with him and call the other guys off. The pitcher becomes a traffic cop in that situation.
1-0 to Morneau, and he rips it. Great pickup by Kochman at first. Sip at the bag, out number 2. So Morneau, who, as we said, spent part of the day today standing in while Francisco Liriano was having his bullpen session to allow him to see the ball from a left-hander better. Saw that pitch pretty well. He just had a hot shot picked off by Kochman.
Well, he just hit it to the wrong guy. Casey Kochman is known for fielding his position as well as anybody in the game at first base.
2 in, 2 out, and now Doman will hit. Doman 0 for 2. He walked and scored in the first. Strike 1.
And you know, it's interesting because of you're going to take 2 left-handers that are similar. Liriano and Sip, they're very similar in their herky-jerky mechanics. So Morneau, maybe he did that little session, maybe it did make him feel a little more comfortable.
To face a right-hander, Justin Masterson, who was nice enough to join us earlier in our telecast. Twins will send a left-hander, Scott Diamond, in the series finale tomorrow. Dolman drives it to left center field. Brantley over in the gap. It's the left fielder Damon making the catch, and the Twins are done in the 7th. A hit by Ben Revere and a long blast by Joe Mauer, and the Twins now lead by 3. Tonight's game, presented by Budweiser, is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live boss. And by the 2012 Ford F-150, built Ford tough. Indians had tied it at 4. Twins got a single run in the 6th, 2 more in the 7th, and now Jason Kipnis will lead off the 7th for Cleveland against Brian Dunsing. Swing and a miss. The Twins had an off day on Thursday. And Dunsing, as we said, threw 21 pitches last night. We'll see how long they leave him out there. He's been very good here in this ball game. He's faced 5 men and retired all 5. Tapper up the line to Morneau. And to the bag. He just barely gets there ahead of Kipnis, 1 away.
And that's why it didn't surprise me, Dick, that Gardy was going to run him back out there. Because if he can use Dunsing tonight and then use Perkins tomorrow, then you're looking at something. Now you got at least one fresh left-handed arm coming out of that bullpen.
A switch hitter, Cabrera, then a right-handed batter, Lopez, are going to come up next for Cleveland. So Dunsing leaves after getting the first out of the 7th, and Jared Burton will pitch next for the Twins. And now Asdrubal Cabrera will hit against right-hander Jared Burton.
And we look at his numbers: 21 games, no record, 4.12 ERA in 19 2/3 innings. He has no saves. He's blown 1.
Take a look at Asdrubal Cabrera's numbers, which are better at night than they are during the day. Brought to you by Mazda. Better, stronger, smarter. Pitches up high to Cabrera. An RBI single, just dumped one over the third baseman's head in the 3rd inning, and then he lined out to right fielder Revere his last time up. Also walked in the 1st. Pulled foul, 1-1. Oh! And made a catch and fell onto the field. Fell right through the gate.
I wish I'd had a chance to face Cabrera, because when I left Texas, my ERA was a 1.5 higher in the daytime than it was at night, and I got traded to the Cubs. I'm thinking this ain't going to be all that much fun.
1-1 to Asdrubal Cabrera. Burton, part of an improved bullpen. The bullpen, one of the areas of concern for the Twins last year. They've reworked it. Dunsing, a holdover from last year's crew. So for that matter is Matt Capps and Glenn Perkins. But guys like Burton have contributed in a nice setup role, and he delivers a strike here to even the count 2-2.
You know, one thing all these Twins, it's preached throughout their system, their organization, throw strikes. Very seldom do the Twins have pitchers that they run out there that don't command the baseball.
2-2. The Indian shortstop. High fastball gets him. Out number 2. That'll bring up Jose Lopez.
This right here, that is where a high fastball has to be in order for a hitter to chase it. It has to be middle of the plate up. A hitter can recognize in, they can recognize away, but if it's in the middle of the plate, they've got to go after it because they don't know if that downhill plane is going to come in. And I think that's an art that's lost, walking the ladder on guys.
You got a guy like Burton who likes to sink the ball with a 2-seam fastball. You saw there on our super slow motion a 4-seam fastball.
Yep.
Up across the letters.
And there's another 4-seamer right there. And you can pitch up in the zone, but when you pitch up, like I said, if it's away or it's in, a hitter can recognize that. If it's in the middle, the target for the pitcher's got to be the top of the catcher's helmet in the middle of the plate.
2 strikes to Jose Lopez. One landed about 3 feet in front of the plate.
And Dick, you've seen him quite a bit. You say he's got a circle change that reacts like a splitter. I'm guessing, yeah, here's the circle change grip. And it does. It reacts like a splitter. It goes down.
Half swing, and he went too far. A good appearance by Jared Burton. Through the 7th inning, the Twins have a 3-run lead. Uniform serving around the world, watching tonight's broadcast in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thanks for all you do. We hope you're enjoying tonight's telecast, and thank you for your service to our country.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to wear a uniform. We're doing a game right now that all the guys are in uniform, but the true heroes wearing uniforms are those military folks that are out there doing their thing so we can do what we do.
Brian Dozier takes a strike from Joe Smith, who's entered the game for the Indians. Dozier, Plouffe, and Carroll facing the side-arming right-hander. 1-1.
Joe Smith got good numbers on the year.
1-2.
He comes in there flinging that thing sidearm. For right-handed hitters, they don't see this very often, so their hearts might be in it, but their behinds aren't.
Dozier with a little roller to second. Easy play for Kipnis, one away. So Dozier retired. He's 1 for 4 on the night. That'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. Trevor Plouffe is a man without a position for the Twins. He's playing third base today. We've seen him play right field for the Twins, left field, shortstop, first base, second base. The Twins like his bat, but they're waiting for Plouffe to win a position and play it full time. And it might be third base. Danny Valencia, who'd been there the last couple of years for the Twins, trying to fight his way back to the major leagues in Rochester, New York right now.
And I asked Ron Gardenhire about him because he was so good for him. And then this year got off to a bad start.
Plouffe with a liner to Kipnis, 2 away.
And he's in a funk. And hitters get that way. They get antsy. You hit a couple of home runs, then you want to become a home run hitter instead of just doing what you're good at. And Trevor Plouffe, his last at bat was a perfect example of a guy just staying within himself. Made a good swing, didn't overswing, and hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Jamie Carroll takes a strike. The guy announced his retirement yesterday. He didn't play at all this year, but Maglio Ordonez, I always thought, was one of the best I ever saw as a right-handed batter, using the whole field, as Carroll does here. A drive to right field, caught by Chu, and Smith has a 1-2-3, top of the 8th inning. For man, auto stop is foolproof. Gray is over. And by Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Even though the Twins got a short start from P.J. Walters, it set up rather well for them to be able to get Brian Dunsing into the ball game. You see Jamie Carroll has moved over to third base. Alexi Casilla at second. Jared Burton did a nice job getting the 2 outs he was asked to get in the 7th, and now another lefty, Glenn Perkins, to pitch to the Indians in the 8th.
Glenn Perkins has been an enigma. Left-hander with a great arm. Matter of keeping him healthy and in him understanding what health is and what health isn't. But what an arm.
Has found his niche with the Twins. For a while he was used as a starting pitcher. Now he is settled into the 8th inning role for the Twins. Brantley, Kochman, Damon, 3 left-handed batters due to face him here in the 8th. And he hits the corner, 2-1.
And if left-hander would just realize starting pitching's overrated. If you're left-handed and have a heartbeat, you can find a job in this game if you can get left-handed hitters out.
Foul back, 2-2. Jesse Orozco lasted how long?
Forever. The one that keeps coming to mind, Tony Fawcett.
Oh, sure.
He might have played for all 30 teams. He could stand on your forehead and not raise a bump on your upper lip with his fastball, but he had a job forever because he could get left-handed hitters out.
2-2. Right down the middle. A fastball that cut the plate in half, 1 away. That'll bring up Casey Kochman. Play Fox Baseball Hot Streak and win cash prizes. It's as easy as picking a player, picking a stat, and starting a hot streak. Plus, pick 15 straight correctly and win $15 in Fox Sports shopping bucks. Log on to foxsports.com/fantasy and start your streak today. 1 gone in the 8th, and here's Casey Kochman.
That last at bat, that's a classic case of a left-handed hitter sitting on a breaking ball with 2 strikes on him, and Perkins is splitting the plate with a fastball. There was no way that he could Brantley could pull the trigger on that pitch.
And an off-speed pitch for strike 2. Kochman was the first man that Brian Dunsing faced in relief of P.J. Walters. Dunsing faced 6 men, got 6 outs. Burton got a couple outs on strikeouts to wrap up the 7th. Now Perkins starts the 8th with a strikeout. Fastball fought off for a foul ball.
Okay, he's got him 0-2. He just threw him a fastball about belt high that he was late on. If he can throw his fastball right here, right down the middle, that's where he'll got to go. And he jammed him with a breaking ball.
Little dribbler to Casilla, 2 down. And that'll bring up Johnny Damon.
He actually got him with a slider that backed up. Kochman sees the spin and expects a bigger break. And this is what they call the old spinning frisbee slider that didn't do a thing.
It looked like Perkins wasn't quite happy with his execution of the pitch, but he got the weak ground ball for out number 2, and here's Damon outside ball 1.
That pitch right there is the one he was trying to throw 0-2 to Kochman.
And now 1-1. The Twins are only the latest team to try to get as many innings out of left-handed pitchers against this largely left-handed Cleveland lineup, even when a right-hander is starting. And against lefties, 0 for 8 with 8 singles coming against P.J. Walters through the first 4 1/3 innings. That's nubbed in front of the plate. Howard will try to make the play. Fires to Morneau to end the inning, and it's a good 8th inning for Glenn Perkins as he retires all 3 left-handed batters. Baseball night in America, presented by Budweiser. Twins scored the first 4 runs. In fact, they scored them in the first inning. Indians kept pecking away, got the game tied, but then the next 3 runs went to the Twins on a couple of home runs. And now Scott Barnes comes out of the Cleveland pen to pitch to the Twins in the 9th inning.
His first season.
Strike 1.
Yeah, I'm saying the gun might be a little messed up.
They had him at...
That had said 80.
Okay. Span with a little pop fly to short right. Kipnis retreats to make the catch. 1 away.
This young man has an odd delivery. In all my years, I don't think I've ever seen this type of delivery with this leg kick.
Ben Revere, another left-handed batter, will stand in. The Twins, with their top third of their lineup, all left-handed. Span, Revere, and Bauer in the on-deck circle.
Watch his leg kick here, Dick. It's just odd. Yeah, I mean, I did pick my leg up like that, but I finished it, went all the way up. He's got no one on base. It's like he pauses, straightens his landing leg out, and then goes to the plate. He's what you call a recoiler. Throws into a stiff front leg.
Without the hesitation, he's got kind of the same pulling the ball away from his glove as Brian Fuentes does. He kind of doesn't drop the ball down so much.
And a short armor. But this is what the hitter sees.
Chop foul. 2-2.
All pitchers throw into a stiff front leg. You have to in order to create torque. But once you've thrown that pitch and your leg is stiff, at some point your front leg's got to bend.
And he went the ball away from the catcher Masterson, and he throws to first, and Revere will reach on a strikeout. A half swing, and Eric Cooper immediately ruled a swinging strike, and so Revere scampered to first, and Masterson couldn't find the ball.
That literally is a 57-foot breaking ball. Had Lou Masterson known where it was immediately, he'd have been able to throw Ben Revere out, but he couldn't find it immediately.
And Revere will reach after a strikeout, and now Bauer will come up. He's got 3 hits tonight, including a 2-run home run his last time up.
And to show you how stupid I was when I was a 21-year-old rookie, I used to like that because it gave me the opportunity to strike out 4 in an inning.
And a peculiar move to first as well.
Yeah. Typically what's going to happen with a guy like this, I relate him Roy Halladay. He's a little more violent than Roy. Jake Peavy. When you don't have your entire body to absorb decelerating your arm, a lot of times you'll get problems in your lat, in the back of your shoulder, which has happened to Halladay over in the last week or so.
Off the plate, 2-0.
Normally you land firm and then let it break. He lands soft and stiffens up with his front side.
2-0 to Bauer. And a strike on the outside corner. Talked at length about left-handed batters who struggle against left-handed pitching. Bauer, the exception to a lot of rules in baseball. American League catchers won a batting title. He's won 3. But against left-handed pitching, Bauer's hitting .360 this year.
Well, when you have a guy like Mauer that stays on the ball as long as he does, as we saw, I mean, he doesn't swing at first pitches very often at all. But you watch his front side, he never gives. That's why he hits the ball to left center so well. And you say you don't see him pull the ball much. It's because he stays closed. He stays closed so long because he knows most pitchers are going to try and go away from him.
2-1 to Mauer. Down the line, but foul. Last year, the Twins had a tough time getting Mauer and Morneau in the lineup together, but when they have been together, they have really been together, hitting third and fourth in the lineup. But this year, in part because of the presence of Willingham, for the first time, the Twins have split their two former league MVPs with a powerful right-handed batter in Josh Willingham. They didn't do it with Michael Kadire. They didn't do it with Delman Young, but Willingham came along and they started splitting the two good left-handed hitters with a very good right-handed batter. And rolled up the middle, Kipnis to Cabrera, and another ground ball double play. Hit by Joe Mauer. He now leads the world with 14 of those. Play of the day. We take you back to the Jose Lopez at bat in the third inning.
And that right there, Denard Span covered so much ground, and he got really, really lucky right here. His spike hung and came loose just enough to where he didn't get hurt.
So the Twins lead by 3 as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Lonnie Chisenhall will lead it off, and he'll do that against the Twins closer, Matt Capps.
Capper, 19 games, 0-3 record, 3.79 ERA. He's only blown 1 save this year.
That came Sunday afternoon, giving up a 2-run home run to Miguel Cabrera that turned a win into a loss. And now strike 2.
And this is another situation now. He can go even higher on the ladder, or I know he throws a split. Had the opportunity to talk to him during spring training about the split and different grips.
Driven to right and hit well. Revere back.
Oh,
what a tremendous catch by Ben Revere.
Wow. That's just all you can say to that is wow.
We've seen him make tremendous catches in center field. This ball blistered toward the warning track, and Ben Revere did a somersault after the catch.
And stuck the landing.
That is an incredible catch.
I'm telling you, at some point in this inning, there's going to be a doink. Because that ball was hit on the screws, and Ben Revere, that's the hardest ball there is for an outfielder. The ball hit directly at you because you can't make an instant read on it.
There's Lou Marson. Last year, Revere hit a triple, and as he rounded second base, he lost his footing and executed a perfect somersault, picked himself up, and went into third base with a slide.
Yeah,
and now he makes a great catch and finishes off with a somersault. This one hit hard to center, and Capps is greeted with a couple of loud, deer hits. This one is a base hit by Lou Marson with one out in the inning.
But
Shelley Duncan, rather, instead of Lou Marson.
Well, Cleveland, we've said all night long, they hit right-handers better than they do left-handers.
Now Shin-Soo Choo.
And with a 3-run lead here, as a closer, your thought process, I'm going after Choo. I'm going to try and make good pitches on him, but the one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to walk him.
Jason Kipnis, who hit the grand slam yesterday, hoping for a chance. Choo late on a fastball, strike one. Take you back to Target Field on May 14th. Shin-Soo Choo with what turned out to be the game-winning hit in the ninth inning. The Indians completed a 2-game sweep in that series, winning the first game 5-4. That was Choo's first game as the leadoff batter for the Indians. A soft line drive after working the count full, and now hoping for a big hit here that'll get Kipnis and perhaps Cabrera up, representing the tying run.
That's the first hit given up by the Twins staff since the 5th inning. They had retired 12 in a row. And now Matt Capps has him set up. He's got him 0-2. He knows he's a fastball, inside fastball hitter. This is where you try and bury that split down and out, or paint him with a fastball.
Dialed it up to 95 for a big strikeout and out number 2.
And that's a case right there, Dick, where a hitter that got you the last time you faced him doesn't think for a second you're going to come after him 0-2 with a fastball.
Put in a pretty good spot, too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Down and away. So 2 down, and that'll bring up Kipnis. Kipnis with 2 hits, 2 more runs scored.
Same situation here. Matt Capps has got to keep the tying run from coming to the plate.
And now 1-1.
Is Jason Kipnis a guy that I would be concerned about taking me out of the ballpark the opposite way? No, I'm not. So I'm going to pump fastballs on the outer half of the plate and throw them up on the outer half of the plate and let him hit the ball to left field in the air.
Twins, of course, aren't holding Duncan at first. He can take off for second.
I'm not sure Shelley could get there even without him holding. One thing you can say about his speed is he swings the bat pretty good.
1-2 now to Kipnis. Well, Morneau's been playing behind him, and he hasn't budged towards second base.
Good time to bury that split fingered in the dirt and see just how much discipline the youngster has at the plate.
Fouled away. One and two again to Kipnis.
Now elevate even more. Turn loose that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, helmet high in the middle of the plate. And I think that's what Mauer wants. The ball up.
Another foul.
That's 2 pitches at 90 miles an hour. I'm going to say that's a split. But I don't think he's burying it deep enough in his fingers. And I only say that because I had a chance to work with him on it and show him a different grip in spring training.
1-2 to Kipnis. And another foul.
Good idea, just a notch higher.
The gun is at back caps at 95 and now 96. That might be a bit generous. The key guy here doesn't want to face Cabrera, who would represent the tying run. Another 1-2 pitch.
They're going with a fastball
to Kipnis. Got it.
Louisiana.
So Cap strikes out the last 2 batters looking. And the Twins even the series at a game apiece. Final score, the Twins 7, the Indians 4. For Mitch Williams, this is Dick Bramer saying so long from Cleveland. Greg Amsinger will wrap things up from MLB Network right after these messages.